Hello, hello. Welcome to day 1505 of Connecting the Thoughts. Quote for today is very special, but before I even go to the quote, I am going to introduce to you a new conversation, a new format of conversations that we will be having moving forward. I've decided to onboard start of the week speakers with me, and I am so grateful to have a very special friend and coach, peer coach, with me on conversation today. His name is Pulkit. He's a total champion. He does lots and lots of stuff. But before that, let me quickly show you the show reel and bring Pulkit on board. Welcome back to the conversation. My star speaker for today is Pulkit. He is a startup monk, he is an investor, an early stage investor, and a design thinker. So, without further ado, I bring to you Pulkit. Hey,
Hi, hi, Ruqya. How are you?
I am good, and thank you so much for saying yes. We are today on day 1505 of Connecting the Thoughts, and the quote for today that I am throwing at you, Pulkit, is put your mind in neutral before you speak.
Wow. Okay. So, um, hmm, I
Yes.
think that is the most important question that anybody can have. And to before we even get into this conversation, let's just do a 1 minute long exercise, shall we? If I'll give you some instructions, and you guys just have to follow that. Is Would that be okay for you?
Yes, let's do it.
All right, fantastic. Right, so why don't you guys close your eyes? And as you close your eyes, I want you to make your lips in an O-shaped form and breathe in, like as if you're taking the air in. And when you breathe out, I want you to make a noise, a humming noise. So when you're breathing in,
Mm,
mm,
mm, mm.
I want you to breathe out. Another deep breath in. Breathe out. And try and focus on this vibration as you're breathing in and breathing out. And while you're breathing, I just want you to box all your thoughts in this imaginary container and put it aside. While you're imagining this with your eyes closed, you can put anything in this container. You can put your thoughts, positive as well as negative. Just box them and put it aside. I'll give you a few seconds to focus on this exercise with your eyes closed and taking a deep breath in and deep breath out. Just focus on imagining an imaginary box and putting your thoughts inside that box. and put it aside. Now, with this gentle smile, just gentle smile, open your eyes, and let's get started.
Thank you. What a
So,
beautiful way to actually put the mind in neutral before you speak. Thank you, Pulkit.
no, absolutely. Ruqya, I think the whole purpose was for us to actually be in a neutral position. And with the quote today, your mind being in a neutral position before you speak,
Hmm,
it was very important for us to empty out any elevators or any depreciators in our emotion and just kind of bring it to normal. And it is very important that we realize that uh, there are various aspects to this neutral mindset before we speak, and it can come from our thoughts that we have at that point of time. It could be from the focus we have in that conversation, right? And it could be because of our body language.
true.
There are tons of things that encompass for you to have a neutral mindset before you speak. And to have that particular focus, it requires practice. But I think in this few minutes, what this whole day of thoughts and quotations is all about, it is very important to focus on a couple of things. Number one is that what is that trigger for you to speak, whether it's a joyful moment, you're talking about yourself, you're talking about some speaking of somebody's praise, or it's a negatively generated emotion, which is more reaction or retaliation. And it could lead into a couple of things. It could lead into maybe you divulging more information that was needed,
Hmm,
or it could actually be that sabotage, that you can burn bridges with people.
true. So,
And it is very important with startups that I have seen, or when I coach with individuals, to understand. That's why the moment you asked me that question, I think I demonstrated that I needed a second to focus my thoughts and converge on the fact what I will speak.
hmm,
And it turned into a little bit of exercise. Had I not taken that 2 seconds of pause, maybe I could have jumped in a joy and an excitement, but I took my time. And I think that is very important for us to understand
hmm,
that the conversation requires that kind of understanding that is there. So I
true.
think, coming from few things, you should use your think filters. You should use some of these things before you can comment on something.
Hmm,
And that is very important for us to understand. And I'll just kind of tell you a few things that I would teach when I take my coachee for a session, or if I'm coaching on a tennis court. It is very important to have, first focus is on your breathing, and realizing that the mindfulness of having a conversation comes from how relaxed you are.
true.
And breathing is the number one key for you to have that neutrality. It all starts from there,
True.
right?
So it's
And
interesting, Pulkit, as you started with the exercise, I'm sorry to interrupt. As you started with the exercise, the one thought that kept coming in my mind was, because this is really the first time I'm actually letting someone in into this space of connecting the thoughts. So for me, it was like, what's going on, what's going on, this is not how it's done, this is not how it's done. And then for the box to appear and for me to actually put aside my format and say, let's go with the flow. This is what I've opened the doors to, because everyone that I invite is going to be a different speaker. Everyone who has been a listener on these conversations is going to come on board and bring in their taste, their flavor, their mindset. So, this is exactly what I absolutely needed to set the pace for this challenge that I've created. And when I say put your mind in neutral before you speak, um, my understanding of that was the larger picture of putting judgment aside. When you breathe and when you put your mind to ease, you are definitely, um, what do you say? You are putting your mind in neutral, right? I was just looking very simply at the car gears when this quote came up. Like, you know, you shift from parking, you it goes through the different levels and it has to pass through neutral before it goes into drive.
Very true.
Nothing big over there. Just
And
that simple little thing triggered this idea.
I hope some of your viewers are watching this, because this is a nugget of information that for you to reach that level of not judging that particular situation, whether it's positive or whether it's negative, but maintaining that composure to be neutral requires, it's a process. And before you could even be triggered, if you understand some of the techniques that you can use, which I would tell, for example, I when I coach tennis, you know, you might be a very good player, but on a given day, if you're not feeling it and your opponent is playing better than what he usually plays, thinking that it's you,
Hmm.
uh, you feel yourself, you're dug yourself a hole. And to get out of that situation, sometimes you could say things or do things which could actually contribute to the adverse result of the match for yourself.
Hmm.
And these thoughts are very important. You could say something to an umpire, you could say something to an audience, you could say something to yourself, smash your racket. And that neutral position, that conversation, even with yourself, if it's not neutral,
Yep.
it could change a lot of things. So, that
Absolutely.
judgment that you're talking about, I think it's a very valid point that you should not judge the situation in a larger set of things. But if you break it down, it all starts from experiencing your breathing and making sure that before you even say something, you can use some of those techniques to avoid trigger.
True.
Somebody asked you something and you say, "Hey, how are you?" "Oh, I'm good. Today I did this and I had coffee and I divulged all the information I could have." Because statistically speaking, biologically also speaking, our pleasure hormone is secreted, especially when we're talking about pleasant thoughts about ourselves. And in today's world, when people are really fixated on how many likes, shares, followers, unfortunately, it's also further triggered by a pandemic where people are not able to communicate directly. They're on more on digital platforms. These things can create a non-neutral position. So that is why I could, obviously, when we do more sessions in your show, we can continue maybe in this series or in the next one, some of these techniques to ensure that you can actually be in that neutral position. And
Absolutely.
that is why you need to box that thought.
True that. So thank you, Pulkit, for your time today. Pulkit, guys, has committed to doing 5 days, 5-day challenge. He's taken it on, which means he will show up every day for the next, it's the first day already, so the next 4 days. And we will be picking quote of the day as usual, as we do on Connecting the Thoughts, and we will brainstorm on it. We will share our thoughts, we will connect the thoughts, and we will have a conversation. So thank you, Pulkit, for your time. I will see you tomorrow at India time. Was it 4:30? Right, we started at 4:30 in India,
Yes.
which was
I
3 p.m. in UAE. And thank you everyone for joining. And if you haven't subscribed already, do subscribe to the YouTube channel, because here's where I post daily videos on the little things that make life big. If this conversation was of value to you, please write in comments saying, I am neutral. Let's do that. I am neutral in comments. And until tomorrow, keep smiling, keep shining, stay safe, and thank you for connecting the thoughts with me. Thank you so, so much. Thank you, Pulkit, as well.
Bye, guys.
Thanks.